QR code. Cheers. Cheers with Riley's little sip. Not me. I feel like that's the most irritating ASMR to be like.
Some people
welcome.
love.
Well, hopefully
I've never really been fed much ASMR on my feed because it doesn't really do it for me, but I encounter one the other day that I'm like, I just truly don't know if it's satire or if this is genuine because it's so very close. Like, I could definitely see someone being like, yes, this is what I like to watch, but it felt like satire. I don't know.
I can appreciate the girlies with their nails doing a little clink clink on their product and, you know, tearing open a packaging or whatever.
Like, inevitably ASMR I feel like is now part of our lives because people do it on their packages and things, but that's not the focus of the account. Like, I don't watch any that it's like, I'm here to present this for you, you know.
No, but you know what I have heard is I'm sure anyone who does like ASMR has heard this one that it's like the foamy, it literally looks like nerds with stretchy stuff in between, but it's like the foamy little like it's a toy for kids, but that's like the gooey stuff.
It's not kinetic sand, but it's like a similar idea. And
I've heard that one be like pulled, and that is pretty satisfying. Like sand through the hourglass. Niche reference, most of you probably don't know. Anyway, welcome. I am excited to be here to calm my nervous system. As you guys know, I feel like out of my dogs and my training relationship, I am probably the one who mostly could use the training of bringing my nervous system back down and just overall nervous system regulation. I feel like I have put so much energy into teaching that to my dogs, and they are great. I on the other hand,
a scatter feed.
Yeah, and that would be helpful. That would be very helpful, and no one ever offers that. Is the issue? No one's ever like, oh, highly aroused experience, cheese puff. Let me get you this sip.
Dark chocolate covered peanuts.
Yeah, just scatter. That would be amazing. Thank you for thinking of that, Riley. Maybe next time when we're together, you can help me come down in that way. But what it was is someone just knocked on my door, which
immediately no.
I saw them approaching.
I don't want to say immediately no in terms of we shouldn't ever be able to like approach each other's houses anymore, which it can feel like sometimes these days. But
you know how we feel with Hello Neighbor.
Hello Neighbor, but Quinn is out of the way, so it's also kind of like, what are you doing? It's not like a neighborhood setting.
And it just sucks that these days you can't trust like a labeled vehicle that actually means anything. It's like, I see that your vehicle is identified.
Oh, you think because you have a vest on, I trust you?
Exactly. So I'm like, yeah, I see that you're wearing a blue polo tucked into black pants. I can appreciate that and have no idea who you are, what that means. Anyone can do that. But, you know, I do tend to be trusting, but the Denver metro area has changed me, which is so funny because I've never lived like true city, but when I first moved to Denver,
lived enough that you've had your truck stolen twice, so
exactly. And when I first moved to Denver, I was solo because Sean was still in school at the University of Wyoming, so we were long distance for like 6 months. Well, short distance. Anyway, the point is, I was you guys, coming from such a small town, like, then coming to Denver, which, again, I was not even in true Denver. I was not in true city territory. And I would literally, like, I'm scanning around my vehicle before I ever would exit. I would always have, like, my keys in my knuckles like Wolverine. I literally, head on a swivel. Yes, I'm talking, like, a quiet, there's not even
mace where I used to live, taser in the other.
Exactly. Where I used to live, you couldn't even hear like the highway, but I'm still like freaking out, always head on the biggest swivel. I'm like constantly. Like, never would I have my phone in my hand. Never would I have an AirPod in. I was always head on a swivel. And I would get home, lock the door, cover the people, and literally put a bucket of like noisy stuff and a chair in front of my door. So that if anything did happen, someone did enter, immediately alarmed, I would know. It was not enough that my thing had the like deadbolt and the lock on the handle. I was like literally a noisy bucket full of shit in to alert me.
Booby trap them.
So anyway, that's my vibe in the city because we grew up. I love the idea of not locking your doors. I really do love the idea. But now even when we're back home, I'm like, when it's the nighttime, do you mind? Like, can we just lock the doors? I just don't see why not. Particularly after parents, yes, I am shouting you out and not in a good way. What the hell that we had an intruder come into our house when we were children, and yes,
but
they meant no harm and nothing.
Intent, so they're like, it's fine, and we're like, still someone just walked through our house in the nighttime, but
right past my little Betty Bye basket. Like, are you kidding me? Why did we not start locking the doors after that? That is crazy behavior. Yes, they did nothing. They got stuck in a snowdrift in our driveway. They came in asking for help, but I'm like, still, no, lock the doors. So anyway, I am now a big door locker. I am feeling like why take the chance at this point? Like, literally all you have to do is lock your door and you're so much less likely to have someone break into your house.
I just also feel like the guys that I've seen talk about safety tips for at your house, they are like, locking your door is often a deterrent enough for someone not to come in. Like, they will be opportunistic and try, and if it's open, that's a lot better. So yeah, it is a simple security tip. Revolutionizing home security. Quinn and Riley declare you should be locking your doors.
And it made me think too, because this person once again meant no harm, but at the house I currently live in, someone that I know that like did animal sitting and stuff for us, but they were here, and it's very thoughtful of them. It was during the winter time, and they texted us and let us know, like, hey, you got a package, so I went ahead and just put it inside your door, like, in your house. And even that, I was like, I really do appreciate, and I see the thoughtfulness there, but that also just for me, like, I don't know, that just feels a little bit... I just don't need someone opening the door of my house. You know what I mean? Without, like, explicit permission.
I'm like, then you are the master of your own fate with Roger. Please don't do that. Like, you're...
Exactly. So, anyway.
You're gonna regret it.
My mind is made up at this point about locking the doors, but I was just home alone, and did I lie? Because the first question he asked is your husband home? I was like, yes.
You're like, I'm never going to say no regardless. Yes, he's home. What's it to you?
Yes, his name is Bunny. What? Do you hear him barking? No, yes. So I was just like, yes. And he's like, okay, I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and whatever. It doesn't matter what he was here for. He just was a service maintenance guy, whatever. But still, my dogs, like, were freaking out because there's a man talking to me at the door. I need to work on that with them because they are great. If I am next to them and someone comes through the door, I can bring them down very easily. But with me just being the only one and I'm at the door alone and they're hearing a man, I feel like is specifically different for the dogs. I don't know. Maybe that's just me deeming it so. But anyway, I then, once I shut the door, return to the dogs, immediately they calm down, immediately regulate their nervous system. However, I'm still over here like, he needed nothing from me. It was no big deal. He did not seem threatening, and I, in fact, think, looking back, I'm like, he probably was asking, is your husband home, because he wanted me to have the out of, like, I could just have Sean talk to him instead of me talking to him. Like, he gave very nice, very friendly, very comfortable vibes, was not feeling weird at all. But it's still like a little alarming for the first question you're asked to be like, is your husband home? Like, are you trying to know if I'm alone? I don't know. It's just, anyway.
Well, thanks for sharing. Very Riley coded. I have to quickly pull something out of the oven right now, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really need to go into more with the stuff with the dog at the door, but I will just say that it's annoying that Roger still does freak out with people at the door. We have worked on it. We will continue to. And most of the time, anyone that's at my door is a friend and not a foe, and I don't want them to be greeted that way, but I do feel like, okay, I guess it's a nice thing to have when I am home alone and there's someone that I'm sus about. I did have once in Charlottesville kind of a weird interaction with someone coming up to my door, and my dog was clearly like not friendly vibes in the background, and I just felt like that was an easy, like, we can't have this conversation right now. So Quinn, love, such a silly game we play. How was your 3rd year anniversary, girl? We're gonna talk a little bit about love and marriage today, because Quinn and I both have a bit of an anniversary situation, but it's already gone to celebrate, so let's start with that.
Yeah, a bit. Riley's only 10-year anniversary with Brayden. But yes, 3 years of Sean and I married. It was yesterday when we were recording this, and it was great. I love, what did I say? I love a holiday, love a reason to celebrate. So it was really fun. Sean got me these very sweet roses. I thought it was funny because he was like, I made the arrangement, and I was like, yeah, I can tell. And he was like, what? I was like,
you're like, oh.
You thought that I was over here being like, oh my gosh, it's like literally baby's breath and red roses, but so thoughtful, so sweet. I totally appreciate, but it was not, I was not surprised that it was a DIY. But very sweet. And I also appreciate, I just want to be so honest for, yes, maybe the girlies specifically, but anyone out there that is in a relationship, because I think particularly with social media, we see the celebration, the gifts, the love, all that stuff. And I am really grateful and proud, because I feel like now I got on Sean's case enough to the point that he really thought of how to be thoughtful and how to celebrate me without me holding his hand through it this year, which was amazing. And don't get me wrong, for past anniversaries, I have picked out, it's not like I'm picking out a $10,000 jewelry, you guys, but I've picked out a piece of jewelry or whatever, and I love that. And I still, when it's jewelry, I'm like, unless you're talking to my mom and Riley, no need for you to take a guess. I think Sean has a great eye with some things, but I'm like, that's just don't waste your money on something that you don't know I want. I pick out jewelry for Sean, and I always nail it because I clearly have incredible taste, but Sean, on the other hand, I like some things. Sometimes he points out something in a store, and I'm like, wow, babe, good job. And sometimes I'm like, no. If you brought that home for me, I would be very disappointed. Grateful, but disappointed. So anyway, I was
Gratefully
really
disappointed. Classic.
I was really glad, because we have definitely gone through the bumpy road of, which I feel many, many women in heterosexual relationships have gone through, where they feel a little bit under celebrated, a little bit, not as thought of as us, on the other hand, how we're treating our men. So Sean has always made me feel this. It's like, it's weird. It can feel so weird and vulnerable to talk about anything that's not 100% peachy with a relationship, because I feel like people can be very judgmental, but I'm just going to be out there and honest that I have always felt very loved by Sean. I think he's very thoughtful in many, many ways, but there were ways, mostly gift giving and holiday celebrations, that I felt like I shouldn't have to hold your hand to this degree through this. Like, you should be thinking, you know, a date is coming up. How am I going to make Quinn feel celebrated?
Yeah, it's not even like you said with treatment. It's definitely not bad treatment. It's like still being, you know, treating you how you deserve to be treated, but how can you go the extra mile to make something special? And I think that a lot of men in our culture have just taken the back seat to that. They're not the ones that are necessarily organizing Christmas, putting together the anniversary such celebrations, like making the kids' birthday special. And so then it's not like the thinking ahead of time, like, oh, how can I make this feel special? Not just, oh, treat you how I obviously have to and ought to in a relationship of just being like kind, loving, whatever, but how can I make you feel like, wow, it's not, again, with gift giving, that's a factor of it, but it's not even just like, I think sometimes on the internet with just the consumerism vibes, it's like, oh, look at this bougie gift. I'm like, a gift is great and I can definitely get on board with that. But that to me is kind of like the least of making it special. It actually takes effort. Buying a gift can be effortful, but in general, it's like doing stuff like making a poster that we would always make a happy birthday poster in our house for each other, which is so nice. And that was definitely like organized by my mom, or adding some decoration, or I've planned all of our meals today and I've already like done the prep. You won't have to cook. Like, I have this handled. Those sorts of just extra mile, you're the special person. Very like,
feeling thought of. That's really what it comes down to for me. So I'm just going to hope that everyone can take that at face value, that like I have felt very loved and appreciated by Sean, and it's okay in a relationship to expect that things are just all going to be sunshine, rainbows, being swept off your feet, literally in love with every part of your person. I just don't think that that should be the expectation. And I know that I would feel a lot more comfortable if I heard more people talking about, like, yes, this is a person I'm in love with. I feel so lucky because I'm in a marriage where I am in love. Like, I truly, truly feel like Sean, I still, 3 years in, yes, that's only a few, but some people getting married young, it can be like, shoot, did I kind of make the right choice? 3 years can be a lot for how you mature and grow from people, and, your 20s, so much changes. So I feel really lucky because I feel very, very confident in my marriage and the person that I'm with, and there are ways I want him to grow. And I know he feels the same about me too, which is funny that I'm being this way. And did I get Sean anything? No. I actually did not this year. It was the first year that there was no gift for him whatsoever. I did give him a card, and I did set up our reservation, and, was just being a good time to be around. And I also encouraged him towards some purchases because Sean is very excited right now with hunting season approaching, and he has done some pretty substantial money spending on a few pieces of equipment and clothing, getting himself ready. So I was like, you know what, to me, yes, you take your little freedom, have your fun, take yourself to Cabela's, which he very much enjoyed, and so that's kind of what I did as my gesture. But anyway, it was really nice because he set up just an adorable little corner for me with flowers and some treats that he knows I really love, and he did a good job with that stuff. It didn't feel like he got himself treats. It felt like he got me treats, like stuff I specifically like. And he also went to our favorite little ice cream shop and got us a couple of flavors of ice cream that he brought home with some of their homemade cones. And so yesterday, with it being a 95-degree day, after we had a really fun play session with all the animals, like all of the animals we did a big walk and training session with, and came back in and had our ice cream cones. So that was really fun and sweet.
Summer bucket list item, check.
Exactly.
Ice cream date.
We were going to cold plunge as well, but then with the timing of our date, it didn't end up working, but there's still time.
I think that I talked about this on our Valentine's episode, but Brayden and I haven't done like physical gifts for several Christmases, anniversaries. Like, for me, I always like to get a card, because a card is such a special, like, sentimental thing to just write sweet nothings to each other when, I mean, in this day and age, it's not like I have a bunch of love letter correspondences like some relationships would have. So my cards I'll keep, and like very special to me. So that's a gesture that we can do. But when you're younger and we are living on a budget and also are very careful about the physical like items that we take into our home and life, I think that is totally fine for it not to always be like a physical gift situation. There's clearly so many other creative things to do. And also what Brayden and I have done, like what we did on Valentine's Day, is like spend more on groceries than we normally would to get something really nice. Like maybe to get from the butcher like a cut of steak that you wouldn't normally do. We got local pork chops that were, I think like $20 maybe each, something that we're not gonna just normally make for a weeknight meal. So we are still, there's a budget involved, but it's not what the money you would have to spend to get a good piece of jewelry or something like that. And I feel perfectly okay with that. I think that in those times though, Brayden and I are always in communication about that, and some people want to be surprised all the time, and that's a nice thought. But when you're married, it's nice that you can just say, hey, again, in advance, not the day before, in advance, 2 months in advance, hey, I'm kind of thinking this Christmas time, I'm not sure there's something I really need. What are you thinking about physical gifts? So you're on the same page, because you definitely don't want someone to feel let down, especially when the guy just kind of drops the ball vibes and it's like, did you even know it was our anniversary? That I would not tolerate. But
and I think communication, like if you're going to communicate about it, Riley and I are just not really game players, so we're not good with advice for people that it's like, ooh, I'm wanting to like kind of be a little sneaky or whatever. Like, I feel very much that Riley and I are just in straightforward relationships where what we say is what we mean, and we're not like playing a game and saying,
don't get me something, but
and then disappointed. It's like, we really mean it when we have the communication of like, again, still, it's like, yes, still get me a card, that's nice, still make me a cup of cocoa on Christmas or whatever, like, still be thinking and be thoughtful and have it be a celebratory, fun, loving vibe. But when we say no gifts, we mean no gifts. So I think that has to be, part of the deal is you're saying what you mean. But it went very well too, because, as you all know, we have had a harder time getting date nights in, and by harder, I mean, we haven't. We tried once, and one time it went successfully with Bunny. It's all due to our puppy. We had got to the place with Pinkerton where we, spent the first year and a half of her life hardly ever going on a date. Yeah. And then we have really enjoyed the past couple of years. We're like, oh my gosh, we got to the place where she is trained well enough that we can leave her home for a few hours, and it's going great. Then we got a puppy, things really changed, and we have been working on, getting him up to the point that we can do some leaving, but we took it a step too far too quickly, and he did end up shredding his bed in his crate, and it's not like we didn't even do anything crazy. It was just like, okay, this was a little bit of a step too far, and too far is too far. Like, if you go too quickly, it is what it is, and R.I.P. that beautiful, beautiful dog bed that we spent so much money on supporting a small business. But, it's fine. We had to take a step back. So since then, we have not had a date night. And I feel very lucky for our good friend Jazz, who is also a very diligent Q&R code listener. Thank you, Jazz. We love you so much. And she was like, seriously, you guys, please take me up on that. I will come and watch the dogs. Like, I want you guys to get out together. I want you to take a date night, please. Like, I will come watch the dogs.
Like that.
And she just seriously, she said that to me in person, and I was like, oh, that's really nice, thanks. And then she followed up with a text and was like, I really mean it. I am so happy to come watch the dogs. Please take me up on it so you and Sean can have some quality time.
Why am I tearing up?
I am tearing up. I am crying. I am crying.
Not
so
even for me.
I reached out and took her up on it, and I feel so grateful because Sean and I then got to have a few hours that was just us. We enjoyed our date night out. We just trust her too. Like, she's good with dogs, she's good with animals, because to me, even if someone had offered that, if it's not someone, even I have friends that I absolutely love and I trust who they are, but that don't have animals, or I haven't seen them interact with dogs, where it's like, it's a lot to leave you with two dogs, and one of them being a puppy. Yeah. Like, that's a lot. So I just felt really, really lucky that I felt so comfortable with her, and Sean and I both do. And so, yeah, it was great. And then the cherry on top was we got to come home, and there's our friend that we got to catch up with for a few minutes. So I was about to say take advantage of your friends. That's not what I mean. But take advantage of their offers.
Friends whenever you can.
Yeah.
No,
use and abuse their niceties.
Like, take advantage of offers, because I do think that we have become, and I've said this on the podcast before, but it bears repeating, too much acting. Like, I've heard the sentiment, basically, friendship shouldn't require anything of you. It should just be easy, and I don't agree with that. I think that relationships deserve effort. I think anything you care about, you put effort into. So to think like that it's rude to ask a friend to pick you up from the airport, there are times where it's not going to work out, and that's okay. And if you're someone like Quinn, that's full on like, oh, we're an hour away from the airport, that's a different story. It just is obviously situationally dependent, but I think because we can order an Uber, and we can get food delivery, and we can just figure out in this robot system of doing everything entirely independently and trying to rely on nobody else, that then it feels rude. But actually, without the inconvenience and the help of each other, I think it's very tenuous to build relationships on that it should require nothing of each other. And I think that I mean it when I offer to someone and extend myself, and maybe not everyone is coming from that place, but I have found that you kind of have to encourage people to ask, and that has been the case with my neighbor. That has really been such a great relationship in Charlottesville, where I wouldn't have just asked for some of these things out of the blue, but she says so many times when we're interacting, like, please let me know if you want produce, please let me know if you need help. Just like, she's the one that's saying, I'm available for this. I'm open to that. Like, kind of, I want to be that person in the community, and it has made me feel so comfortable that when I've needed something, it hasn't been a like very insecure thing to ask her, and it is so nice because there's reciprocity there. I have asked her specifically for a ride to the airport, and she was happy to do it, and I would be so happy to pick her up, and it's just nice. Like, I think that's so nice to do for each other, and that's also just more helpful in a lot of ways. I think about my friends that are pregnant right now, and they're going to have a lot of people that want to give them toys and give them things. That those things can definitely be helpful and are always appreciated, but we've heard the sentiment from moms in the past of, wow, the thing that really like made a difference or was so special to me is when I was just exhausted with my newborn, and I had the type of friend that came over and didn't just want to hold my baby. They cleaned my whole house and started a load of laundry and stuff like that. That is just really where the friendship matters and kicks in, and I love that. Did you guys just go out to dinner?
Yeah, we went out to dinner. I had thought about, I really want to go see Freakier Friday, but there was just not a showtime that worked for it for us. And I know you saw it and you said you really liked it. Since Bunny, as you know, we have pulled back completely. We haven't been to the movies since.
I know, we used to talk about the movies on here all the time.
I know. And now there are a couple ones I want to see. Like, I want to see Honey Don't with Aubrey Plaza. I'm not going to lie, literally just because it's Aubrey Plaza, don't know anything about it, except I believe it's a queer couple. I believe it's a queer lesbian couple is the main deal. Good thing I'm so intelligent about how I talk about movies. Good thing if anyone ever wanted to be a part of a movie, they would be like, yeah, this girl knows everything about what we're talking about. I'm like, the people that are the mains are a couple.
Well, I don't know what this movie's called. Wait, it's on the tip of my tongue, but there's the Pam Anderson, Liam Neeson one.
Oh, yeah. I would also be interested in that.
Really fun to see.
The little lovebirds in real life, which I think is so adorable.
Me too. But Freakier Friday was so funny. It was just... Brayden and I both felt it was so nice to see a comedy at the movies, and I know that's not really a hot take, but there have been we're just in an era of thriller, scary, dystopian action, like that tends to be the roster at the movies, and I feel that it's relatively more rare for there to be just a comedy to go see, and I think that that's one of the best things to see in the movie theaters, not just because I'm a comedy girl in general. I like to watch that at home too, but it's funnier when it was completely full when we went to the movies, and to just like laugh with a bunch of other people, and also the shared nostalgia because it was a remake from Freaky Friday. I thought it was just a fun communal and group experience. But Jamie
Freaky
Lee Curtis,
Friday is a legendary movie. Like, that is, it was so good.
And sometimes remakes, they can be kind of iffy, but I thought they did a good balance of referencing the first movie and like pulling in those things that we loved and you would want to see again, and it being its own thing as well, because there are times where you're like, why even remake it if you're just trying to do the same thing that is but that Jamie Lee Curtis was such a riot. She was definitely the one that was getting the full theater laughs. It was so funny and cheesy kind of vibes, but it's Freaky Friday. I didn't care about that. And Lindsay Lohan was really great too, and the two girls that were the younger characters, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think if you get the chance to go in the theaters, it's so fun, but with your circumstance, if you end up watching it at home too, you'll still enjoy that. I'm gonna watch it again when it's streaming for sure.
Maybe you want to watch it again this weekend in person at the movie theaters.
Maybe. Okay, I guess I should, timing wise, jump in to talk briefly about my anniversary, which we haven't celebrated yet, but we are coming up on Brayden and I being together for 10 years. Um, obviously not
Whoa,
married. We were
what?
obviously not married when we were 16,
Yeah,
but
that would be a bit much for my liking.
but we might as well have been because we've only been
What?
with each other for the past 10 years.
Okay,
So,
no.
because somebody that I
I
worked with
just
is
don't
like,
feel like the relationship would have gone the same way if you got married at 16.
obviously not. We would have got broken up because I would have resented that. But somebody just asked me at work, like, oh, have you been on and off, or did you take a break in college or whatever? And I'm like, no shade at all to people that do, because I think that that's probably a decision that makes sense for a lot of people. We just never have. And speaking of gifts, we were like, what do we do for our 10-year anniversary? That feels like a big one. And Brayden was like, do you want jewelry? But kind of hesitantly because we are very low budget vibes. I mean, we just have so many loans from our
Yeah.
from very important education that for some reason you have to take out tens of thousands of dollars of loans on, even though doctors are extremely necessary, particularly in the field he's going into. But I have no bitterness about that whatsoever, so it doesn't matter anyway. And I'm like, this is so housewife domestic for me to ask for my anniversary that I want a broom, but I did ask for a broom because we have a pretty falling apart one that's moved with us a few times, and there's this beautiful handmade broom that is not unreasonable at all. It's not like because I'm like, oh, this is such an expensive broom. It's not that expensive. It's just, when I already have a broom, I probably wouldn't have bought it. I would have just let this one disintegrate fully until I moved on. But I decided to relegate our old broom as our outdoor one, and Brayden got me this very beautiful handmade in Kentucky natural girl like vibes, just an elevated
Your little witch broom.
My little witch broom, but it's like very functional. I took it for a spin first, wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna just look pretty, but does the job. And it has the coolest hook that I've ever seen. It's like, there's the type of hooks that kind of slide in and catch the broom. It's like that, but it's made out of walnut wood, so it's really pretty. It's like a little art. I love functional art. That's Quinn and my vibe for our spaces is I feel like we like utility. We also love things for just aesthetics, art on the walls and stuff. But if the items that are already required in my life, like a broom, are also giving art vibes, that's my peak pinnacle feeling. Like, having your beautiful mugs that you've made. That is art. But it's clearly a functional, useful item. So I'm excited.
Very exciting.
About
I love that.
But I feel like I'm not going to reveal what I'm giving to Brayden yet because I haven't gifted it, and I don't want to jump the gun on that, so we'll circle back.
Nice. Well, that's super exciting, and you guys 10 years, just that's so special and so sweet and so hard to believe at this point in time that it's already been 10 years. It's not hard to believe for me because it feels like, we've spent our whole lives with Brayden being such a big part of it, but it's also like crazy to think that we're 26 and you've been in your relationship that long. Yeah, most people, like, I always, when people, like, my tattoo clients will ask more about my family and stuff, and I think it's so sweet, and I do love that you guys are high school sweethearts, but I also always feel the need to preface because I think there just is a little bit of a pressure around that that's like, as if that's some huge accomplishment, which in some cases it really is, but in some cases, like, I know people that have kind of stayed in a relationship for that reason instead of it being for the reason that they are the right fit and that they are growing well together. But it's more just like, this is who I've been with. Isn't that so cute? We're high school sweethearts. So I think that that can be a lovely thing.
I feel like I'm on the other side of that, where like in college and stuff, having conversations where that was never my fantasy of like, oh, I would just be with the same guy forever. That was not something that I just was like, I want to get married young. I want those things. So that actually kind of is the only hesitance, because I was like, I feel like we are such a great fit. I definitely, honestly, like everyone says this, but he does feel like my best friend and my partner, and I felt like everything was making sense in our relationship, and there was no reason that I didn't want to be in it. I just thought I thought that's crazy to just be with the same person through, like, from high school. If anything, that was my seed of doubt, of feeling like that just doesn't feel realistic. That doesn't feel like that will actually be a relationship that can last, because we were teenagers. I just didn't. It's hard to believe that that could carry through effectively and make sense, and to kind of the first, not to put it this way, but I'm like, the first pair of pants that you try on are going to be the ones that carry you through the rest of the time. It doesn't seem likely. Usually you have to kind of develop your style and taste and then figure it out down the line. And people always say, oh, I'm just so different to who I was before. But it's worked out. And even someone at work said to me the other day, just, oh, you change in your 20s so much. It's really hard to change compatibly with someone. And I'm like, I know, and I believe that.
Yeah.
But there's also something to be said for when you're doing that alongside someone, it can also be very complimentary. And I do think our growth has been pushed much farther by being able to be with each other, because we already have such a long precedent in our relationship. There's no hesitance of like, are you trying to change me, and vice versa. I think we both fully know who the other person is, and we don't want them to change the core fundamentals, so we're able to kind of know and see those are the core things, and that's the good stuff, and these are, some areas that we both could grow on, improve, and have that support system, but without someone feeling, I think that, I don't know, because I've never experienced it, but I could see now at this point in my life, in my mid-20s, if I were single and a relationship is coming in, to feeling more attached to who I already am, if that makes sense. Like feeling like I already know who I am, and would probably have a harder time being okay with partnering up with someone, because I felt just solid already. So I don't know, you never know what would have happened, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but I am grateful. And I'm also just huge kudos to Brayden, because I do think that sometimes people can feel doubtful hearing about my relationship, but from being so young. But then whenever anybody meets Brayden, I've just never felt like there's been any hesitance. I think that it's pretty universally agreed upon by the people in my life that he is a great guy, and we are both lucky to have each other, and things worked out very well for the situation. I'm so glad I feel that way. I wouldn't want to be in a relationship where I felt any differently. So
I was talking to a friend recently that's single and has been single for a long time, and is like starting to get to the point where she's like, I actually need to be putting effort in because I want a relationship. And so I do understand that I'm coming from the point of view where I have been mostly in my adult life in a relationship, and for the past 6 years in a relationship that turned into my marriage. I love being married. I love this life. So it's a little crazy for me to say this, but it just does seem to me like I love living life so much, and I have always also really loved solo time, and the point in time that I was single, I loved, and I truly the only person I wanted, had my eyes open to when I was single to being in a relationship with was Sean, because I knew Sean, I knew him from 10 years of knowing each other very well, and I just, other than that, like, I was not interested in dating. So to me, and even then when Sean and I were long distance, I loved and missed Sean, but I was also like, wow, how nice that I'm getting this little stint of a few months living solo and enjoying that different side of life. So for me, my feeling is like, if it is not the right thing, of course you have to try it. That's not saying don't get into a relationship unless you know it's going to be the one. I think there has to be trial and error. But I just feel so strongly for people that enjoy your solo time as much as you can. Again, then being married when I just turned 23, it does feel that's a little crazy to say to people to give that advice, but I just think like it to me would take it having to be such a good addition to my life to want to stay. Like,
yeah,
even with Sean and I being married, I'd rather get divorced if it was just like, this is not working. This is not feeling positive. This is not adding to my life. Like, truly believe if that's how I was feeling, I would rather get a divorce and have solo time than be living life in a way that it was not adding to, you know?
I just wish that it came for people like always from the place of that feels like something that I want to seek right now and not I should. I think so many people end up at that age or that place in their relationship where they feel like the next step is a relationship, locking that down. I should be with someone long term, and it's very prescriptive because there's so much. It's not that person's, whoever's fault for feeling that way. There's a lot of reasons that our culture would make you feel like that. I just think that's a shame because there's no reason that one set up life plan works for everyone. I'm definitely not a marriage advocate in the sense of, oh my gosh, if you love them, just do it. Like, just get married. Yeah. I don't think that makes sense. And I think there is so much fun in the dating and the exploring, all of those things that I haven't really gotten to experience, but I'm like, that sounds awesome. I definitely didn't do
this because it sounds part way awesome.
Part way awesome, but
horrible.
Also, yeah, but that's true
to be dating
with a relationship too. Like, as much as I am so happy I'm in this situation, again, what you see is everyone on Instagram being like, oh, my husband brought this for me, yada yada. Like, there's all that side, and then it's like, yeah, and imagine coordinating your whole life always with another person. It's not at all the same as if you live solo and you're like, you know what, tonight actually ordering dinner and doing like, I don't know. It's just a different thing. Long story short, we're both so glad we're in our relationships, but we also both live for your single moments. And of course, it's so hard for me to imagine ever being with someone other than Brayden. So I would feel this way, but I always think if I weren't with Brayden, I would be happily single in my 20s doing that right now. But who knows? I could actually end up, maybe I'm a long-term relationship gal and I don't perceive that myself that way, even though I've been with someone for 10 years because I'm just like, but it's Brayden. So who knows?
I love talking to like clients or friends who, whether it's that they recently got out of a relationship or they are dating, but they're like, I just moved in with my best friend. And like, think about that too. That is so special. Like, I highly doubt, other than Riley, who Riley is my best friend, I would love to live with Riley in a little quad situation between the four of us.
Quad pod.
But like, think about how that is such a special thing that I will have never experienced. I've never in my 20s, I've never lived with a friend. Like, that is so
Yeah.
special too, to get to have that different aspect of life. That my client was just telling me that her and her friend moved in, and they're in a very bikeable part of Denver, that they just found like cruiser bikes, and they'll go to, town together and wake up and have their coffee in the morning on the porch. I'm like, that is so special too. But I feel like we could talk about our marriages for a long time, because we are very fortunate that we feel very confident, with the decision we made. And I do feel very fortunate about it, because I think it was a big risk, big reward to get into a marriage in our early 20s. I think that's like a lot, especially we do not come, as you know, from a religious background. We do not come from a place where it's not like that's the norm. We were the youngest people in our circles to get married. That's, it was definitely the different thing to do.
It was giving jump scare.
Yeah.
But that's
people are
okay.
Like, what?
Quinn and I are confident decision makers. Clearly, we felt good about that and still continue to. And I also recognize that is probably not the thing that makes sense for the majority of people. But we're here celebrating that today. Thank you guys for supporting us along the way, and I can't wait to spend another decade, hopefully, and another with Breeden is just, he's obviously part of our family. Sean's part of our family. It's really hard to ever imagine that being a different dynamic. We've all just blended and fit in so well together, which I'm incredibly, incredibly grateful for, and makes life a lot more abundant and joyful. We're going to talk to you guys next week. We'll update you on seeing each other in person, even though we're not doing an episode in person this time. It's just too quick, but stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Happy rest of your week. Enjoy this week. Hopefully you've checked some stuff off of your summer bucket list. And thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.